Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make a rather luxury pavlova. So this is going to be a Crème Diplomate pavlova. Usually a pavlova has a chantilly or chantilly cream inside the meringue base, and then it has fruit put on the top. But in this instance, I'm going to make the meringue base, and then I'm going to make a crème patissière and whip into that, or mix into that, some whipped cream, and that's going to be the filling, and then there's going to be fruit on top. Very nice dessert for a summer day, and it's not difficult particularly, but it takes a long time simply because we bake the meringue and then turn the oven off and leave the meringue in the oven for at least 4 hours. But I'm actually going to leave mine overnight. And as the meringue bakes and cools down, I'm going to make my crème patissière, or my custard, and leave that to cool down as well, so that tomorrow I can simply assemble the pavlova by whipping the cream, putting the mixture, the crème diplomate, into the meringue, and then topping that with the fruit. So I'll go on to the ingredients. And so for the meringue, I have 6 medium egg whites, which would be large in the USA, and I have 325 grams, 1.5 cups plus 2 tablespoons of caster sugar. I have 5 millilitres, 1 teaspoon of lemon juice, but you could use vinegar or white wine vinegar, something like that, if you wanted to. And I have 6 grams, 2 teaspoons of corn flour. The corn flour will help to stabilise everything, as will the lemon juice. And for the crème diplomate, I have 4 medium egg yolks, which would be large in the USA, and I'm going to use 400 millilitres, 1 2/3 cups of whole milk. I have 16 grams, 2 tablespoons of corn flour, 10 millilitres, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 50 grams, 1/4 cup of caster sugar, and then that's going to be for the crème patissière. And then to make it the crème diplomate, I'm going to use 400 millilitres, 1 2/3 cups of double cream. And the first thing I'm going to do is to preheat my oven to 140 degrees Celsius, 120 Celsius with a fan, 285 Fahrenheit. And I have taken a piece of parchment paper and drawn a 10-inch or 25 centimetre circle on it. That is going to go with the circle, the inked side going face down on a baking tray, and that will be a guide for shaping the meringue. And to make the meringue, I'm going to put my egg whites into the bowl of my stand mixer. You can use any stand mixer you want. This one is particularly good at whisking egg whites. And I'm going to simply whisk them to start with until I have fairly soft peaks. So that's a frothy soft peak. So I'm now going to add my sugar in a continuous stream, whisking the whole time until the meringue mixture is nice and glossy, and I have a soft peak basically. So that's nice and glossy, and it's at the soft peak stage. So I'm going to sprinkle in my corn flour, and I'm going to pour in my lemon juice, and I'm going to whisk that for another 30 seconds or so to get that fully combined. So that's good like that. So the next thing to do is to put that onto our parchment paper. So with my parchment paper and the ink side is facing down, I'm just going to put a little blob of meringue under each corner of the parchment, like that. That's going to help to hold the parchment paper in place so that it doesn't lift up during baking. And I'm going to put the meringue onto the paper. And with the meringue a little bit messily, I have to say, transferred to the parchment paper, I'm going to spread that out to the edge, and then I'm going to make a dip in the middle. And I'm trying to do this without knocking too much air out of the meringue. And if you don't have a precise, neat circle, it really doesn't matter. And I'm just pushing up the side a little bit, but you can do whatever you want. So I've spread that up the sides, and I'll have a dip in the middle. It doesn't have to be precise. So I'm going to put that into the oven, and I'm going to bake it for an hour and a half. And that's going to set the meringue nicely, and it will colour a little bit. Then I'm going to turn the oven off, and I'm going to leave it in the oven, as I said, for at least 4 hours. And after at least 4 hours, and in my case overnight, the meringue will be set and crisp on the outside, and it should be chewy on the inside. And that will then be ready to use. So I'll bake this, and as it's baking, I'll come back and we'll make the crème patissière. So to make the crème patissière, I'm going to put my 400 millilitres of milk into a saucepan, and I'm going to bring that to the point where it's just about to boil. I don't want it boiling, it's just about to start boiling. And I'm going to do that on a fairly gentle heat. So it will take a little bit of time, but that's because I don't want the milk to burn onto the bottom of the pan. And as that happens, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my sugar and my 4 egg yolks and my corn flour into a bowl, and I'm going to whisk those into a smooth paste. And then I'm going to pour in my vanilla as well and whisk it again. And then I'm just going to leave that until my milk is hot enough to mix in. So my milk, it was just about to boil. So I'm going to drizzle in just a little drop and whisk that very quickly. And a bit more. This is tempering the eggs so that they don't cook and scramble. And then I'll pour the remainder in. And then I'm going to put that back into my saucepan. And I'm going to put that onto the stove. And I'm going to stir it the whole time with a spatula. You could use a whisk, but a spatula will be good enough, until it thickens and just about comes to a boil. I don't need it boiling. It will thicken nicely without boiling. So I'll put the heat back on, and it's on a medium, or a low to medium heat, and I'm going to simply keep stirring the whole time until the custard thickens. So there's the custard, which has thickened nicely. So I'm going to put that into a bowl. And with the crème patissière in a bowl, I'm simply going to put some plastic wrap over it, and I'm going to press it down onto the surface of crème patissière, like that. And I'm going to leave that to cool, and pressing it onto the surface will prevent a skin from forming. And that needs to cool completely. And when it's cooled completely, because I'm doing this over 2 days, I will put that in the fridge and leave it overnight while the meringue sits in the oven overnight. And tomorrow morning I'll come back, we'll whip the cream, and we will assemble the pavlova. So it's the next morning, and this is my meringue. I baked it for 90 minutes, and then I left it in the oven. In fact, I left it in the oven overnight. And as you can see, as meringue tends to do, it has cracked a little bit, but I've taken it off the tray and put it onto a board. So I'm just going to set that to one side for a moment. And I'll talk about the fruit for a moment. And I'm going to use 300 grams of strawberries, which I have chopped into large pieces, but they were very large strawberries, most of them. And over that, I've sprinkled about a teaspoon of sugar and stirred it through, and I've left that to sit for about 30 minutes. That's going to slightly macerate the strawberries. I'm going to use 200 grams, which is 7 ounces of chopped mango, and 150 grams, 5 1/4 ounces of raspberries. I'm also going to use 6 grams, which is 2 tablespoons of toasted flaked almonds. So they're going to go on top of the pavlova. So what I need to do now is to whisk my 400 millilitres of double cream. So I'll put that into a bowl. And I'll whisk that until it's about a soft peak stage. Now I could say you could add a little bit of sugar into this if you wanted to. I'm not going to, because there's sugar in the crème patissière and the meringue's very sweet as well. And that's good enough. I may have whisked it slightly more than I intended, but it will still be fine. Oops. And before I get rid of the whisk, I'm going to simply use it again to whisk the crème pat, which has been chilling overnight. And then I'm going to stir the two of those together. And for ease, I'll do that in a larger bowl. And that's good enough. So I'm going to put that into my meringue. So I'll just spoon some in. And that's good enough. So then I'm going to take my fruits and I'm going to put those over the meringue haphazardly. I have one whole strawberry, so I'll just stick that in the middle. And with my fruit on top of the pavlova like that, I'm going to take my flaked almonds and I'm just going to drop those over the top as well. Like that. And then that's ready to serve. Now I'm not going to cut into that just at the moment. It's going to be saved to be a dessert. So that's going to be it for this recipe, which is a lovely recipe for a summer day. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there'll be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.